we have quite a bit of information we want to go over with you guys this morning, and a lot of it, I wanted to sidebar the training and the models that we've been working on to talk about business structure. Okay, and what I mean by that is business structure in regards to taxes, marketing, expenses, how to truly account for a transaction and deduct those to really know exactly what you're taking home. Anybody here have a formula or a spreadsheet already online on how they're, when you get a commission, how you deduct your deductions? Show of hands. Right, you just kind of put it in the bank and say, hey, I made $3 grand, I'm excited, right? But the reality is it's not really $3 grand that you're making, right? So it's excuse me. Right now, that's what I want to really work on. I want to focus on making sure you guys have a baseline, to be able to administer this. Does it look like Liz off or in on? What is that? There we go. Oh, okay. And because it is important. One of the major issues of a real estate professional and owning a business in real estate is taxes. And I can tell you right now, and it's a naughty, 4-letter word, which is called taxes. A lot of people don't account for it ahead of time, right? You wait till the bill comes after your account says, hey, you're gonna end up owing this much. And all of a sudden you're like, well, hell, that amount doesn't match what I have in the bank. And you're like, whoa, what am I gonna do, right? So it is imperative, guys, that you need to take an understanding on each transaction, what you should be able to separate and what you should be able to deduct, okay? The way I used to do it, which it was a very simple Word document. I wasn't even good at spreadsheets or Excels. I just put a Word document. I just kind of put my gross commission. Let's just use it as an average number of $1,000. Immediately I took 38% and reserved that for taxes, right? I know you're going to be able to deduct a lot more from it. Don't get me wrong. It's not a true number, right? But you're going to want to put a percentage there to set aside. Also, that Molly's on. Also, marketing. Have you guys ever put in perspective how much time, marketing wise, you can deduct off of each transaction? No, right?
No.
Remember how we always talked about, what is the value of your business? What is your true value? You can put a nomination on that. You can put a number to that, right? And that's really a soft cost. A hard cost is, yeah, I sent out postcards that I put this listing up and I paid this much. I think it would be a lot easier if you do it on an individual basis versus for the whole year. You got to go back and track your receipts. You got to look at exactly what was spent where. On that one pager, you're writing it in there. You're like, look, I want to say I spent my hour of time of marketing and prepping for social media branding for this particular property that I sold or listed. This is the number I'm putting myself towards as a deduction. Then from there, you're gonna be like, look, hard costs. I sent out mailers. I paid for postage, right? I had an open house. I paid for XYZ refreshments, balloons, whatever. If you don't have a system in place, again, as we always talk about systems and infrastructure, if you don't have that in place, it's going to be a lot more complicated at the end of the year, right, to figure these numbers out. Or, remember, you can either pay your taxes, and I'm no accountant, you can pay your taxes at the end of the year, or you can do quarterly estimated taxes. Wouldn't it be easier to have those numbers ahead of, plan and what you got? So when your estimated taxes are coming in, you're giving it factual information. The reason why I wanted to bring this up to you guys, because, we've been talking about business and implementation, getting out there. But a lot of you guys, we even talked about transaction coordinators. If you guys are using transaction coordinators, guess what? That's a deduction as well. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, in order to run an efficient business, you also have to be that CEO, right? You got to put that CEO on and you got to structure yourself. Say, okay, man, each transaction, I'm going to label, or maybe you're going to talk to your CPA, say, hey, man, what would be a good cheat sheet? And you don't have to get to the point where you're doing 20 different things or answering 20 different questions, but you can at least say, hey, I need a simple cheat sheet that I can put in front of my file in every transaction that's going to allow me to set up an estimate, if you will, of what my deductions are, what my taxes are, what I'm, all of it. I mean, you could even go as far as adding your mileage. If you guys are doing mileage, we talked, I think Lynn brought up a good point in our last meeting. The IRS went up to what now? 60 or Lynn, what was that number again? I'm sorry.
62.
I thought it was like 60 something.
It's 62.5 cents.
Per mile. That's pretty good money, right? So that file, if you're not using a tracker or an application, because I know right now there's apps out there that can help you track your mileage and all that good stuff. Hey, it wouldn't hurt to add that into your little cheat sheet. So every closing you have, you're literally putting that little file, that little cheat sheet in your file, and you know it's in your system. You know exactly to the T what your number's looking like. So that if you're going quarterly or yearly, depending on what your guys are doing or how you filed your taxes or whatnot, it makes it so much smoother to transition and give that information out to your CPAs. We've been focusing on sales, marketing, and all this accountability, CRMs, all that, but we really never had that four-letter word conversation, which is taxes, right? We're all excited making money, Julia. We're all excited making money, but at the end of the day, with that excitement also comes what? Liability, because you're not really setting aside monies to cover, your overall expenses on each transaction.
Frank asked you to do this class today.
Were you guys talking about this?
He's jumping my butt all the time about, getting, and he's right, but, I'm terrible at doing my expenses and doing my receipts when I get them. And so, yeah, I thought he might have called you.
Wouldn't it be, seems easier said than done maybe, but it seems that it would be more beneficial to know exactly how much you made off of that deal if you have all of your expenses. A spreadsheet is one of my favorite things to so easy to use. But you would know what else did you spend. You probably dismiss it by the time,
Exactly.
remember.
Well, and the biggest issue right now is people, I guarantee you, don't really, as agents, we don't really truly, I think we underestimate ourselves when they ask us for the mileage for the year, right? Because you're kind of almost guessing at that point. Well, hell, I showed 20 properties. I don't know, what miles, how many of this, how many of that. You know what? It's going to take a little more work on your part, but at the end of the day, it's called building a foundation for your company. And that includes the tedious, the back end, the nuts and bolts of finance accountability.
Does the Bouge system allow you to export from there? Because maybe some of the work can be done if it could export listing information to a spreadsheet. They could back it out and add something.
I'll check it out.
And I know there's some apps out there for like mileage.
There's tons of apps for mileage, but I think really what we're getting to here, guys, even if you simple it down, I never want to use the word dumbing it down because we're not dumb. We're not paying attention to the fine print. It's really what it is. We need a get a cheat sheet, if you will, on your activity per transaction, right? When you can go to the table at closing and know that you're receiving a $5,000 commission check, but you truly know that out of that $5,000, you're netting, I'm just throwing a number, $2,700 or $2,900 or $3,000, right? That's what you're netting. That's your net. You can account for that. Why do I say that? We talked about budgets before, right? We talked about budgets on marketing. We talked about budgets on expense, everything. But why do you think I say that? Well, you got a life to live, right? You got bills, right? that net dollar is gonna help you pay for your mortgage payment, your car payment, whatever else out there you guys got. Right? And guess what? We're building a company, and I say this us collectively, everybody here, we're building a company that years down the road, you want to have a tangible item that in the event you want to go ahead and just call it a day, you can sell your business. Do you realize that 97% of agents right now that have been in this business either 10 to 20 years or more are not in a position that they can resell their business because they are very ill prepared to provide the proper information? We're the only industry that is crazy like that we don't have an actual, legitimate pro forma of what our company does. I'm not picking on you, Carol, but you're probably one of the longest tenured agents on this call. But if you had a guest right now and you want to put your business up for sale, could you give them proper information to say, hey, verify my business model? Here's all I did with my business. Right. And the reason why I said, because prior to Carol's life in real estate, she owned a produce company. Right. And I'm sure with her produce company, it was much more detailed because she was on heavy on the back end operation or her numbers, her, profit and losses. Am I right, or am I speaking out of whack here?
No, you're good. And really, Jose, I do have a system. My system's very simple in calculating to make sure that I can pay my taxes at the end of the year. I figured 25% on taxes. I figured 10% for expenses. And that includes a lot of different things. I've never had a problem other than that. As far as my mileage is concerned, I take my mileage on January the 1st. I take my mileage on December the 31st. Obviously, we have more than one car. So the way my CPA calculates it is that we lock off, depending upon how much I've made in real estate for the year, either 10 or 15% for personal use of that car. And the rest of it we consider as business. Never had a problem with the IRS with that. And it's a very simple thing, but I'm very diligent about keeping all of my receipts. It's a real simple plan. I have a little white jewelry bag in my office. And I take every single receipt and I put every single receipt in that little bitty bag every year, all of it. And I've been fine.
Okay.
So it's called the traditional way of putting everything in a shoebox and turning it into your accountant and saying,
No,
figure it
I
out.
added
Here's
up.
what I'm
I
thinking.
put it all on a list and give it to the CPA. I don't make them
All right.
add up all those little bitty receipts for coffees and dinners and no.
But my $1 million question is this, Carol.
Yeah.
Would you, at this point in juncture in your business, if someone says, hey, Carol, I'm interested in your business, I want to buy it, would you be able to perform or have the proper information in front of you to give them a valuation of your business?
Sure, I'd have to do some calculations and do a spreadsheet, but it'd be there.
Okay, good. So here's the case in point, right? If you're detailing yourself on a transactional basis, right? For example, Carol's method works for her. Again, this class is doing business your way. I don't care if you show up to your accountant with a trash bag, say, here's all my shit, pardon my French, here's all my shit, figure it out.
Caca, Jose, caca.
Caca, yeah, I got you.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? No matter how you do it. But what I'm trying to simplify that method by saying, look, if you take each and every individual transaction and you baseline yourself with a cheat sheet to include your mileage, your expenses, you should be able to know exactly what you're netting out of that transaction, right? And when you net that out, you know what your proper, your gross valuation of your company's worth, right? Because at the end of the year, right, you say, hey, I did $5 million, and you base your gross profits or your gross commissions off your EBITDA. You can base that off EBITDA. For you guys don't know, that's a forecasting method to balance out over 5 years what your business is worth.
Jose, I have to ask you though, how many agents do you know have sold their book of business?
So
19 years in, I know of one.
Me too, Kathy Irvine.
That's it.
and let me explain to you right, and I started this conversation by saying 97%, and I'm even being generous, it's probably more of 98 or 99% of agents look at themselves as real estate agents. They don't look at themselves as a business. And this is why we're having this conversation. Because guess what? Your business, it is a valuable asset that you can sell. Especially nowadays when millennials are jumping into this business and they're looking at themselves. If you guys go to these conventions or if you guys go to these big meetings with international and you hear this, they're already gauging people and trying to make them understand that you guys are a business. Set your business for what? For sale, for retirement. Just like you're dealing with your 401ks, your Roths, your life insurances, all that. You know what? And the thing is, it's like you're not doing anything different. You're just basically now taking a little more structure, right? To put a value on your business, because guess what? From then, you can also add your business plan for the next year. You can budget accordingly from the previous year that you actually did in business, right? I'll give you another statistic or another study. In California and in New York, and these higher markets, real estate agents, they do sell their book of business. And now, I'm not saying that they're probably organized, but because the way they have their deals out there and big volume is being dealt because of the cost of living and the price of the value of the home, it is a sellable commodity. Most people come in, shit, if I got to start this over again, I might as well go and buy a book of business somewhere that's been developed and improved. What I'm saying to you guys is, if you guys would get into that mindset of, listen, if I keep track of my finances, my accountability and my taxes, my expenses, whether I do it on a per transaction basis, or at the end of the year, I check my mileage like Carol Camarada does, like December or January 1 to December 31st, however how you do it, find out what that valuation is. Your CPAs, your accountants can give you that type of information upon you requesting it once you give them the supported information, right? So why we're talking about this is talk about the reality is I want you guys to look at yourselves as a business owner, as we've been talking to you guys on day in and day out basis, but also understand that you guys have a valuable, intangible item that you guys can sell years down the road. It's just how you put it together. Someone that does 10 to $20 million a year and doesn't have the information to support that business, they'll never be able to sell. They won't. You have a lot of agents that are coming into this business that are younger, you know, they're millennials, even younger than millennials now. They're coming into this business. A lot of them want to get to point A to point Z a lot quicker than just starting all everything from brand spanking new. Your businesses are valued. They are valued. We just need to put and find that value for them. You know, you see everything right now going on the faces. Hey, come and buy into this business. You see Amazon, you see the truck routes with FedEx for $1.6 million. You'll get a whole route and you'll make $1.8 million every year, blah, 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 blah. There's nothing different about their business and our types of business, guys. The thing is that we're just we look at ourselves as just real estate agents, that I'm self-providing for me versus providing for your business. That's gonna, then your business is gonna give to you. Do you guys know what I mean by that? I lost you. I'm gonna say it again. When we come into this environment of industry, we're the real estate agent. We look at ourselves as a real estate agent. We provide for ourselves versus then we providing for our business. Then the business takes care of its CEO, takes care of its employees. Does that make sense now? This information, as I preach or as I talk, right? I'm preaching, vote for me, you know. It's real. It's real to the point as far as you want to take this, right? Now, you can simply say, you know what, Jose, whatever, man. I just want to sell real estate, make money, and have a good old time. Great. That's cool too. But you're in a position that you can put a valuation on your business. Why not?
Wouldn't the valuation also be there because you have all your contacts that you stayed in contact with? And if you're turning over your business to somebody else, you're gonna partner with the new person. And there's gonna be a plan, right? To say, I have brought this person on and you're introducing them, you're creating that relationship with your client database. You're controlling it, so there has to be value in that.
Look at it from this perspective, right? If in our industry, and I'm telling you right now, guys, we're probably the worst types of people when it comes to understanding the mechanisms of a company structure. We're self-dependent. We're self-dependent, right? We rely on ourselves, right, to produce. That's the reality. It's not like you're starting with a 15-man team or a 5-man team and you're going out there. You depend a lot on yourself and your business depends on you. So since it depends so strongly on you, why not structure it to where you know everything that's going on with your business, to include how much money I'm making, how much money am I paying out, what my budgets are, what my expenses are, right? Even if you don't look at it from a plan of, hey, in the future, if I decide to sell my company, I'll have the supported documentation. But hey, why not have it ready? Because it's gonna make your life easier anyway. And when you can literally off the top of your head say, hey man, on this last transaction, I spent 9 hours. Of those 9 hours, I spent, 118 miles driving around, showing property to this client. We got a property under contract for this amount, whatever. Here's how my expenses are broken down. I'm supposed to be netting when this closes this much money. That's my net dollar that I can account. Now, if I'm making 2,000 in net, now I know that for this month, I have $2,000 that's gonna cover for my personal expenses, my home life, my vacations, whatever. Which I think that and therefore simplifies as a way how you manage your money. I've been doing this for 22 years, guys, and I'm not saying it's easy, right? Because even myself, right, I ran into situations with tax issues, all because I made a bunch of money and I was all excited. And then the big bill comes in, and I'm like, oof, where do I start donating blood? Or who do I sell my kid to? Right?
Don't sell the firstborn. I think he's gonna be.
You know what I mean? This is why we're talking about this today. I wanted to sidebar our training model, but to talk about the mentality of a business owner. And you guys have to have that hot right here, right now. Guys that are great at expenses or spreadsheets, kudos to you guys, because this is going to be something that's going to be so simplistic, so easy to handle, that you're going to be able to knock it out in a few minutes when you're ready to go, right? So remember that, okay? Now, what have you guys, since we're talking about budgets, guys, okay? And we've talked about numbers. We're wrapping up basically what, in August, the second quarter finishes up, or July? July. Next month, we're wrapping up second quarter, okay? And here's something for you guys to think about. Or I'm gonna ask this question. Do you feel right now that your business has done exactly what you wanted it to do, right? Up until right now for 2022.
No, that's an unfair question with this market, the way it's been. Shame on you.
Sure, no, but
No,
answer
it's a
hey,
struggle.
give me
It's
your
a
truth.
struggle out there.
Okay.
Actually, it's been better than I thought it might be, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Anybody else? And that's a great response, Carol. And you know what? It's you can say it's an unfair question, but it's a question of it should open some eyes, right? It should make you look back and say, did I or did I not get to where I needed to be? In my mind, for my goals, my business plan, where am I? Did I achieve what I needed to achieve? Did I not, did I do what I said I was gonna do? Or did I not do what I was gonna do? I mean, this is all accountability here, guys. Anybody else?
I'm off. I'm off a little bit, I mean, as far as like where I wanted my numbers to be for the year. I mean, I'm not, which is kind of, like Carol said, a little bit unfair to say, because it's not like I do 50-50. You know, it's not like I do half of my business the first part of the year and
Yeah.
half the other. You know, I'm more like spring and fall and, you know, something in between. But yeah, I mean, where I wanted to be, I'm still a little bit off on.
Okay.
The sale numbers.
How about this? Let's take the numbers out. Let's take the sales out. Let's take that out of the equation. Do you feel right now that you have done exactly what you needed to do for 2022 to have your structure and your business set?
A work in progress.
Kay
Aren't we all?
says she's a work in progress,
I'm
which
with
is
Kay.
fair. What'd you say, Julia?
I said I'm with Kay.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Right, learning
I
every
think
day.
we've all probably worked, people that are really working in their business, we're working harder. And I think you can't just always just go by numbers of sales. Maybe
Yeah.
it's client satisfaction that you've been doing you've been finding things for them to look at. You've written the contracts they wanted to write. Maybe they didn't work. Maybe they listened to you. Maybe they didn't listen to you. But if you've been able to be professional and build some relationships, that's a very positive thing that's going on right now.
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
you just give up and you don't keep trying, that's a problem.
Yeah. And you could have had it this year saying, look, I'm gonna focus more, I'll see you, Kay. You know, this year I'm gonna focus more on customer service, on delivering much better quality information, communication, whatever. All I'm asking is, have you met your goals or have you achieved your goals throughout the first, quarters of this year? And we're not even having to talk about numbers. It could be about anything. It could be just, how about, hey man, this year I told myself that I was gonna take a day off during the week and a day off on the weekend, whatever. Those are the things that I'm trying to find out, right? Because guess what? As Carol mentioned, sometimes you're working much harder, right, than normal in certain instances that maybe throw you off whack, or that's what you anticipated. Who knows? Each one of your guys' business is different.
Should they be tracking that? Should that information be tracked as well when a deal, you have these deals that you're working harder or you lost the contract, whatever it was, should that data be also included in there?
Depending on their business, depending on how in-depth they want, but I think at the end of the day, if there's an objective that you wanted to meet, let's say in the first part of the year, right, or the first half of the year, I would have written that down at least, like, hey, this, for the first part of my year, I'm gonna make sure that my systems are starting to get a little more structured, or my service to my clients, my response time, or me generating proper marketing information out there, all that could be all written down. Or that could be, something of your business model, your business plan for 2022. Sales, mind you, we do all this because at the end of the day, what do we got to go out there and do? Sell real estate. The famous saying is, you can always be busy being busy, right? But does that get you sales? Does that get you business? Does that get you to the table for closes, right? Closings. So in essence is, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna work on streamlining a much more efficient business. Maybe it's just efficiency. Anybody else out there?
I didn't write this down as a goal for me, but as we've been talking and, thinking about different things, I think for me, it's just been about confidence. So from last year was my first year getting out there. And I was really nervous and afraid to put myself out there and get leads and stuff. But I feel this year, I've definitely done a lot better with putting myself out there and having more confidence in my ability.
That's awesome, Julia. We're, in our nature, for the most part of ourselves, we're very humble about ourselves, right? And that falls into also, we're in an industry that you have to put yourself out there,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And that could also be into the fact of confidence, of being a confidence builder. Like, man, I don't feel comfortable going out there like that. But you know what? You've made so much headway, Julia, and just on your social media alone, you've done an excellent job improving your social media presence. It's incredible. You have the proper balance between personal and business on your social media, that it does make for intrigueness. It does make for engagement, right? People will look at that, oh, Julia's doing this. Oh, she just put a home under contract, you know? And her new picture that she's using on social media, I think it was a great idea. It makes you feel warm, approachable. You don't feel like it's hard to get a hold of, you know, you look at her, she's like, hey, it's just me doing what I do, you know?
Yeah.
So those are the actions that I'm talking about, guys, right? If you want to take the business component, the numbers out, have you achieved the goals that you put in front of you for your business for the first part of the year, the second, or the half of the year rather, right? I'll give you an example. I think Kristen Kaufman is doing such a great job with her, you know, her neighbor, her pot buys. I just think that's such a phenomenal idea, right? And it's those little bit of strides, guys, that should and will give you the momentum to do something else coming right behind that. You know?
Which just kind of reiterates your comment about being self-aware, knowing where you can
Yeah.
pinpoint those, like Julie, you know, learning to do these things because she knows those were her weaknesses. The accountability piece of all of this has helped, I think, all of them.
Yeah. And guys, look, for some of you, this might be a broken record today, right? For some of you, like, man, I got all my stuff on point, and that's great. That's great. But I just want to reemphasize it to you guys that it is important. It is a key component in your business, right? It's having that proper structure from the back end all the way to the front end. But also knowing that you're making headway to achieve certain goals that you put in front of you. And remember, man, they don't have to be these long, exuberant, crazy goals that sometimes are not unobtainable. But you know what? Take pride in the little goals that you put in front of you that you do achieve, because you're making headway. You know, the conversation that Joe just literally talked to his mom, Carol, this morning before we even got to go, hey, I didn't have to fire my client. You know what? Those are little wins right there. The more structure you have, the more you can get to be able to see and forecast your future, guys. That's the difference between companies and Fortune 500 companies, guys, or Fortune 100 companies. That's really what it is. I mean, some of you guys are very, Joe's an analytical kind of guy. He knows how to work stuff, work his numbers. You know, I saw him shake his head when I made that statement. It's true. The difference between the Fortune 500s and the 100s to the regular companies is that they have everything down to the penny, and they have a way to forecast their future because of the data that they are providing themselves in within their company. You guys are no different, guys, whether you're doing 1 million in sales or you're doing 20 million in sales, you're no different. You own a company. Am I right? Do you guys own a company? You guys own a business, right? Yeah, right? So
Yes.
you're no different. Sales is one component of your business. Client retention is one component of your business. Data is one component of your business. You guys realize companies out there pay money for databases? To show you the importance of what your database is worth, there's companies out there that would pay you money for your database. Just your database alone. Interesting, right? You're sitting on a couple hundred names in there, and by the time it's all said and done, let's say your past 5 years, maybe you have 500 names or whatever, or 1,000. Hey, that adds up. That adds up. I'm proposing to you guys this. You choose to do it or you choose not to, it's up to you guys. Create your cheat sheet on how to really, you know, dissect your each transaction, right? Do a case study on it, see if it helps you, right? Talk to your CPAs, ask them a quick question. Hey, what do you think? I got mileage, I got marketing, I got, you know, whatever. Taxes, I got it all in there. What else do you think I should add? But I also don't want to make it to it's a 20, 30-page document. I just want something simple that I could attach to my file. Every time I have a you know, while I'm doing it, I'm working on a file, I'm looking at that information in front of me and it's easy to attest to what I'm bringing home. Wouldn't it be nice to say, look, my business grosses $4 million in sales. My commissions gross are, you know, $250,000, but my net, right, is 160. That's what I took home. And if you can spit those numbers, you guys are running a tight ship, and I commend you guys. Is this information useful, or you guys think I'm just spinning my wheels?
No, it's very useful.
Okay,
Very.
I'm telling you from experience, man. 98% of the agents in our industry are very, very, very hard on themselves because they don't do these small little things. They make it hard. You know, we're dealing with we're in the sales industry, right? But our industry is not necessarily, I keep repeating myself over and over again. We're not here. Our industry is not selling the actual house because we're not there to talk people into buying a house. We're there to represent them and showing them houses. So that means your A game is on your customer and your client service and your client retention, right? So when you're able to base your numbers and basing your client retention and looking at your databases, that's all within that same bubble of a foundation for your business. Now, we're just adding the back end to hopefully even streamline and make your business even more efficient. That if, you know, you get a call from me and say, hey, Joe, how are your numbers looking so far as of, you know, June 21? Oh, I've had 4 closings, or I have 3 closings. I've netted out this much. I've grossed this much, you know. It makes you feel good to know that you're on top of your business and you know your numbers. Kathy Irvine was the only one she sold to, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think Kathy Irvine even had a strict book. She sold it to her assistant that actually saw the numbers, but she put the database in place, right? But it's crazy that we don't see more and more agents right now in our time life or our lifespan prepping their business for sale, right? To be able to market for sale. Knowing the fact there's going to be a lot more younger individuals coming in and jumping into this industry that might have the means to say, you know what, I'd rather buy the book of business than start from scratch. That's one scenario. The other scenario is you have all your information in front of you accordingly, and you guys are running an excellent freaking business because you know exactly, as CEOs, you know exactly what's going on in your business day to day. You can even add, guys, and again, we're real estate agents. A lot of you guys have life insurance and investments. You can even add that to your cheat sheet. Hey, out of each transaction, I'm going to be putting, you know, $200-300 in for my investments, right? For long term. Maybe you don't want to sell your business. You just want to wrap up when you wrap up, but at least you know how much money is going into your personal investments to keep carrying you after you retire. I'm no financial advisor, man. I'm just looking at apples to apples. Take a little bit of here, put it over here, slowly but surely grow that little pig, right? Feed them, get them fat. Again, things that perhaps you already know, I'm just, you know, throwing back up on the table, making you guys be more aware of the capabilities that what you guys can do within your business to show the true value of what your business and company is worth. We talk numbers. Most companies base their numbers after, you know, year after year or last year's business, yeah, you always want to increase over year, right? But instead of guessing, wouldn't it be cool to be able to have actual hard data to say, hey, this year I did this much, now I'm focused on doing this much. Why? Because this is what I'm gonna be doing differently to increase my book of business. Because it's all there, it's on paper.
Does anyone happen to have like an expense tracker that we could put in each file for transactions?
You know what, Julie, that's a great question. I have something that I used years ago. I'm gonna talk to Kristen and dig into my old files. And I'll get it to everybody that's on this call. And please modify it, because it's old, right? There are probably stuff that you can add now, like social media branding, presence, that kind. Because what we talked about, Julie, before you jumped on was, you can even add a value to the time you're spending on branding a certain property on social media.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say you spend 30 minutes, but you know what, Julie, you're gonna value your time. Let's say you're like an attorney. Hey, man, I'm starting right now, my hourly rate is $200. I don't know, I'm just throwing that number out, $300. Well, guess what? You spend 30 minutes on that. Well, that's $100, right? If it's $200, I spent 30 minutes. I'm gonna deduct, right? I'm gonna use that as an expense for my taxes of time spent.
Okay.
You know?
Spreadsheet or just form?
No, it's an old form I did, just literally on Windows. I'll find it. If not, look, worst case scenario, I got it up here. Kristen and I will put something together and we'll get it out to you sometime first thing tomorrow, okay?
Okay, that would be helpful.
We'll do
Thank
it.
you.
And then please, we'll send it in a Word doc, because each of you guys are different. You might want to add a little bit something different to it. You guys might even add, hey, part of my deals, I'm donating $25 to a charity. You know, like Sean. Sean does everything with the not the Humane Society, but the dog rescue. You know, and he probably donates time. He donates time, which I don't understand why we should not, actually write off our time, right? Because it is monetary, right? Talk to your CPAs about that. Say, look, I know I own my own business, but I want to put a value to my time. Is that deductible?
You know, the other thing I'll say is that you could do too, Julie, if you use that spreadsheet or that expense sheet, you could put that in the DocuSign file, right? So you don't have to worry about where did I put it for that file, or where am I storing these? You're creating another whole, you've already got a file going for that property. You could put those in your file and it would always.
Okay. Just to keep it all in one place.
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn. You have a question.
I think I have one of the ninja business plans, Jose, that I'll share with you today also, that you can look
Yeah,
at
cool.
and see.
Yeah. Yeah, bring
'cause
that
I
up
think-
because, go ahead.
I think everybody, you might be able to use it as a base, a foundation, and then add to it or take things out that are not applicable to your business, but it's a good foundation.
Thank you, Lynn. And Lynn's right. Listen, guys, we're not asking you to reinvent the wheel. Just add or take out whatever you want, as long as it makes sense to you guys, right? But I can guarantee you that once you start getting in the habit of utilizing that simple document, I feel like you'll have a much better understanding of what your business is doing and what you can account for to take home. Because at the end of the day, guess what? We're in this business to make money, to provide for our families, ourselves, and significant others, right? Our homes, our personal, whatever. But it'd be nice to be able to know exactly what's going in and what's going out, on each transaction basis.
I think too, Jose, another thing to add is that when you have it in writing like that and you're looking at it, you go, oh my gosh, I'm making $150 an hour, or I'm making $500 an hour. So I think your point at the beginning about tracking your time is very important to our business.
Absolutely.
You're spending an hour on social media and you're spending an hour creating a CMA or whatever it is, but you're tracking it. At the end of the day, it really, you can modify that time. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm spending too much time on my paperwork that I'm not really, I could pay somebody $200 and I'd be making more money by being out and selling.
And that's a great point, Lynn. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, guys, is because think about it, right? And I'm talking just on social media. You know what? Let's say you're not good at social media, right? And you're paying somebody to do social media. That's an immediate company expense, right? That's a deduction, right? So talk to your CPAs, because guess what? You're the CEO of your business. It just so happens you're also having to do the social media as well. You should be able to deduct that as an expense too, as your time. And to Lynn's point, when you have more like accurate time of what you're spending on these transactions and how much time you're putting into social media, you'll be able to calculate really how much your time is worth. Because it might calculate and say, hey, I'm averaging about $300 an hour. Okay, cool. Well, then use that number. So when you're doing social media, right? If you're not, me, certainly I would tell everybody right now, I know, it depends on your size and volume, but I would highly recommend using a transaction coordinator if you're already comfortable with your own paperwork, because it's a 100% deduction, but then that allows you and frees up your time to do other things working forward on your business and not, working on the back end of your business. But either way, it's all deductible. You should be able to deduct your time working on your paperwork too. Talk to your CPAs, guys, talk to your accountants, because maybe there's a lot of money that you guys are leaving on the table that we weren't aware of. You know what I'm saying? You're paying Uncle Sam more than you have to. Things to consider. Any questions, guys?
This was a great meeting. Thank you, Jose.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Listen, I want to make sure that, as a reminder, this is doing business your way. This meeting or this information could come in, it could set in, or it can go in one ear out the other. But at the end of the day, I just really hope, that that all of it gives you some sense of direction so that you can keep improving your business and keep putting a value to your business and your time. Hey, Mona. So, Mona, we're going to be wrapping up, but it's videotaped, it's recorded, so you can check it out. I think you'll enjoy this one. We're talking to just back-end fundamentals, operation, taxes, finances, expenses, all that good stuff. But thank you for jumping on either way. But listen, at the end of the day, guys, I just want to make sure that you guys are seeing the future of what your value and your potential is for your business. Any questions?
No questions.
right.
Thank you, though.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget to make it your day. Kill it. Thanks for jumping on, Mona. All right. We appreciate that.
Have a good day. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Jose.